In the 8th year of his marriage, Elias was stranded on a deserted island and received a system warning. Warning: host's affection mission failed. Wife's affection level. Daughter's affection level. Annihilation will occur in 7 days. Elias had come to this world on an affection mission solely to save his deceased fiancée, but he lowered his head, eyes filled with bitterness, as he looked at the photo in his hand. It showed Amara and their daughter with Ramon, appearing as close as a family of 3, yet in his 8 years of marriage, there had been no wedding ceremony. He didn't even have a single photo with the mother and daughter. Their preferences were strikingly similar. They adored Ramon, yet despised him. Elias took a deep breath and tore the photo to pieces. If he couldn't save his fiancée, living alone held no meaning. He would be joining her underground soon. On the deserted island, covered in frostbite, Elias clutched a handful of grass roots, numbly stuffing them into his mouth. He was so thin he was nothing but skin and bones. Above him floated a system projection, visible only to him. Elias had been born into this world after accepting the affection mission. He and Amara confirmed their relationship at and married at. She had once held him passionately, promising to love only him forever, but now she lay obediently in the arms of his adopted elder brother, Ramon. She cooked for Ramon, brewed brown sugar water for him, meticulously prepared gifts for him. All the things she claimed during their courtship that she would only do for Elias, she now did readily for Ramon. Their daughter, Lily, inherited her mother's disposition, detesting her biological father while adoring Ramon. In the month Elias had been abandoned on the deserted island, neither mother nor daughter had given him a thought. While he starved to the point of collapse and froze into unconsciousness, they were busy pleasing Ramon. It wasn't until the day, when Ramon's uremia worsened and he was hospitalized, that Amara finally remembered him. When Amara found him on the island, Elias's throat had been scratched raw by the dry grass roots, and he was retching violently, coughing up blood. Seeing him, a flicker of compassion crossed her eyes, but it was quickly replaced solely by disgust. Elias, you should kneel and thank Ramon when you get back. If he hadn't put a good word for you, I definitely wouldn't have come to get you so soon. If you have even a shred of conscience, donate a kidney to Ramon. Lily, only years old, chimed in with a complaint. Daddy, just give Uncle Ramon 1 kidney. It won't kill you. Don't be so stingy. Elias looked at the identical expressions of disgust on their faces, his heart aching intensely. His month on the island had been a living hell, yet their minds were solely focused on Ramon, seemingly blind to his miserable state. Elias staggered to his feet, but a wave of dizziness washed over him. He accidentally bumped into Lily, who pushed him away, crying and shouting, "Bad daddy, your blood got Uncle Ramon's gift, and my clothes dirty. I hate you." Elias was shoved to the ground. The frostbite sores on his hands scraped open, the pain piercing to the bone. Amara helped him up, her expression growing even more repulsed. "Stop playing pitiful. It's useless. Sign the contract to donate the kidney to Ramon. If you don't sign, you could just stay here on this island. Don't leave me, I'll sign." Having not spoken for a month, Elias's voice was incredibly hoarse when he opened his mouth. He wiped the blood coughed up from the corner of his mouth and, with hands covered in frostbite, arduously yet desperately signed his name on the donation contract. He no longer cared how Amara saw him, but he couldn't bear another 7 days on the deserted island. That kind of suffering was too agonizing. Only after boarding the plane did Elias feel a sliver of security, staring blankly out the window. Before, he was despised by his parents in this world. After, he had placed all his emotional reliance on Amara and Lily. Yet just like his parents, they repeatedly hurt him for the sake of Ramon, the adopted son. The affection mission had failed. In 7 days, he would be obliterated and go to see Sarah. For the rest of his short life, he no longer needed to deliberately try to please them. The moment Elias stepped off the plane, before he could even catch his breath or take a sip of water, Amara whisked him away to the hospital. His body was covered in frostbite, his face obscured by a mixture of mud and blood. His clothes were tattered, filthy, and reeked. Passers-by stared, their gazes a mix of pity and disgust. Amara saw it too, but only spat hatefully. "This is your retribution for harming Ramon. You deserve this." "I didn't harm him. Elias. Even now you're still going to lie." Amara cut him off with a roar. Utterly exhausted, he still couldn't help but argue weakly for himself. Amara, I donated a kidney to you before. I only have one left. If I donate another one to Ramon, I'll die. Amara sneered. A pack of lies. When I had my accident, it was Ramon who donated his kidney to me. What does it have to do with you? Elias, can you even speak a single word of truth? Elias was accustomed to her verbal abuse. He knew explanations were futile, so he simply stared at her in despair. When they first fell in love, she had told him it didn't matter that his parents didn't love him. She would love him. But in the end, she treated him even worse than his parents ever had. His gaze made Amara uncomfortable. Just be cooperative, she said. After the surgery is done, I'll hold a proper wedding ceremony with you on our anniversary. Fulfill that wedding dream of yours. They had been married for 8 years, legally registered but without a ceremony. This was the first time Amara had relented and agreed to have one, but Elias no longer wanted it. He only murmured, I need to use the restroom, without looking back at Amara. Elias slowly walked toward the restrooms. Halfway there, he abruptly turned and headed for the exit. He didn't want to donate his kidney. He just wanted to find a place to quietly wait out the next 7 days. However, before Elias could reach the door, Amara grabbed him from behind. Bad Daddy, don't try to run. If you run, Uncle Ramon will die. Lily doesn't want him to die. Lily, holding a water gun, squirted it right at Elias's eyes. Elias couldn't tell if it was water or tears streaming down his face. Ramon can't die, but what about me? If I die, won't you be sad, Lily? The little girl looked at him with unnerving innocence. If Bad Daddy dies, then Uncle Ramon can be my daddy. This was the daughter he had lovingly raised for 6 years. Elias let out a bitter, mocking laugh and turned his head back to face Amara. I won't donate my kidney to Ramon. He doesn't deserve it. Amara's expression instantly darkened. I knew you wouldn't cooperate, Elias. You can refuse to donate. But what about your good friend, Daniel? The color drained from Elias's face. What did you do to Daniel? The Elias family just signed a major contract with a subsidiary under the Amara family's name. Daniel signed it. There are plenty of ways to tamper with a contract like that if I wanted to. Sending him to prison wouldn't be difficult. Elias knew she wasn't bluffing. His face turned ashen. After a long moment, he let out a bitter laugh. You win, Amara. Amara frowned. You don't have to act like you're the victim here. After the surgery, as long as you stop bothering Ramon, I'll live properly with you. But the future Elias envisioned no longer included her. He kept his gaze lowered. I won't run again. But that subsidiary company, the one that signed a contract with the Elias family, you have to transfer all its shares to me. You don't trust me? Afraid I'll take your kidney and still go after Daniel? Yes. Give me the share transfer agreement now, and I'll go with you. Otherwise, I'm calling the police immediately. Amara's face turned livid at his threat. Nevertheless, she instructed her special assistant to draft a share transfer agreement and bring it over. She and Elias signed it on the spot. Elias, I've done as you asked. You'd better not try any more tricks. Elias held the share transfer agreement, a self-deprecating smile playing on his lips. If I were capable of playing tricks, would I be in this miserable state? He truly wished he were a calculating, ruthless villain, capable of any evil. That way, at least when Amara and the others despised him like this, he wouldn't feel so wronged and heartbroken. Seeing him like this, Amara felt an inexplicable discomfort churn within her. She looked away and dragged him off for the medical examination. But Elias had held on for so long. He was at the end of his rope. He staggered a few steps after her. Then his vision went black and he collapsed unconscious. Elias was jolted awake by sharp blows. Still pretending after fainting? Sleep all day? How could I have given birth to a son like you? If I had known you were so malicious, I should have gotten rid of you from the start. Elias opened his eyes to see his mother, her own eyes red and swollen. He swallowed the taste of blood in his mouth and struggled to sit up, asking numbly, what did I do now? Ever since Ramon had come into the Elias family, it had always been like this. Before he even knew what he'd supposedly done wrong, they'd already condemned him. Fortunately, there were only 6 days left. Then he wouldn't have to face these biased parents anymore. Mother Elias struck him again, still unrepentant. It was bad enough that you always bullied Ramon before, but a month ago, you actually pushed him off a cliff. Luckily, Ramon is fine. Otherwise, how could I possibly face his biological parents? As Mother Elias spoke, her voice started to break into sobs. Ramon coaxed her. Mom, don't cry. You and Dad treat me so well. Little brother is your child. Even if he hurts me again and again, even if he wants me dead, I won't blame him. Mother Elias choked back her tears. My sweet boy, how can you be so kind? Don't talk about dying. It's terribly unlucky. Once Elias donates his kidney to you, you'll live a long and healthy life. The usually taciturn Father Elias also nodded with heartfelt sympathy. Yes. Elias's mouth was full of blood from the slaps, his cheeks burning with stinging pain, yet no one paid him any mind. The family of three radiated harmony, as if he were merely an insignificant outsider. Since they detested him so much, why had they given birth to him in the first place? Elias wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and let out a sorrowful laugh. Is little brother mocking me for having uremia? I'm already suffering enough. Why must you still treat me this way? Ramon declared angrily. Father Elias's brows furrowed. Mother Elias ground her teeth audibly. You rebellious son. Raising her hand, she embedded another slap. Only this time, she was stopped by Amara. She offered a comforting word to Ramon and had Father and Mother Elias take him outside. Elias harbored no illusions. He knew she was merely worried he'd be too damaged, leaving no one to donate a kidney to her beloved. Amara sneered. Elias, you used to at least put on an act in front of me and my parents. Have you decided you can't even be bothered to pretend anymore? Show your true colors now. You've already reached your conclusion, so why bother asking me? It wasn't that Elias had stopped pretending. He was simply utterly disappointed in all of them. No one listened to his explanations. They only saw him as quibbling. He no longer wanted to be like a dog before them, wagging his tail and begging for pity. Amara frowned, displeased, stubbornly unrepentant. Since you're awake, come with me for the preoperative checkup. Elias was weak and walked slowly. She had no patience, dragging him along, causing him to nearly stumble and fall several times. This was a private hospital owned by the Amara family. Soon, a doctor named Jane came out to receive him. Amara instructed her. Ramon's body can't hold on much longer. Elias's condition doesn't matter, as long as it doesn't affect his ability to donate the kidney to Ramon. Understood. Jane finished examining Elias and handed the report to Amara. Mr. Elias's various indicators are normal. After resting for 2 or 3 days, he can donate the kidney. Elias wasn't surprised by this at all. Previously, when he had donated a kidney at Amara's behest, it was Jane who had performed the surgery. It was also she who had distorted the truth afterward, claiming Ramon was the donor. He had told Amara countless times, but she refused to believe him. Amara clutched the report, her fingertips turning white. Elias has 2 kidneys, correct? Of course. Jane felt a twinge of guilt, but Amara was staring intently at Elias, completely failing to notice anything amiss with the doctor. She slammed the stack of reports onto Elias's head. And here you were claiming you only had 1 kidney. I was actually worried for a moment. You lied to me again. The sharp edges of the paper cut Elias's face. He touched the wound, his voice hoarse. I didn't lie. If you just have someone else examine me, the result will be different. Hearing this, Jane's face turned deathly pale, but she didn't even need to defend herself before Amara burst out furiously. This is the Amara family's hospital. Who would dare lie to me here? The only one who has ever dared to lie to me is you, Elias. I will never again believe a vicious lowlife like you. Think what you will. When Elias used to be misunderstood, he would always defend himself vehemently until his voice was raw. But now he was exhausted both mentally and physically. He didn't even have the strength left to explain. Amara was thoroughly exasperated by him. Elias, you should count yourself lucky you're still useful to Ramon. Otherwise, you should have died on that deserted island. Compared to death, his current state wasn't much better anyway. Amara stormed out, infuriated by Elias. He watched the door slam shut. Unlike previous times, he wasn't trembling with fear, wondering what he had done wrong and how he could possibly beg for her forgiveness. For someone who didn't love him, no amount of begging would ever work. Elias ordered a housekeeping service. Go to the address I placed the order for. I'll give you the gate code. My WeChat ID is my phone number. Add me and keep a video call open. In a moment, Just throw away whatever I tell you to. Elias instructed the housekeeping staff to throw out all the matching household items he had bought in pairs, as well as the photo albums of him and Amara. Then, he hired dozens of errand runners and had them dig up every single flower in the Lavender Manor, leaving it bare. The language of Lavender meant waiting for love, and he no longer wanted to wait. Besides, after he left, he didn't want to leave any trace of himself behind. Just as they were nearly finished, Amara burst into Elias's hospital room, flustered and uneasy. Elias, why did you have people remove all the lavender, and why did you have them throw away the photo albums and all those matching couple things? Didn't you treasure those items the most? Elias's gaze was lowered. I threw them away because I wanted to. Dug them up because I wanted to. What about it? Ramon, who had entered with Amara, muttered under his breath. A friend of mine once played hard to get, deliberately throwing away his wife's keepsakes and their couple items, pretending to be completely disheartened. Could little brother be copying him? After saying this, Ramon waved his hands frantically. Amara, I didn't mean little brother is playing hard to get. Please don't misunderstand. The panic in Amara's eyes faded, replaced only by disdain. Elias, is this the only kind of cheap trick you know? Besides petty jealousy, is there anything else in that head of yours? You beg me and Lily to take those photos with you. You burn them yourself, so don't regret it. We won't take any more with you. Elias's eyes dimmed. It was my fault. After being disappointed by my parents, I shouldn't have focused all my energy on you and Lily. If his world hadn't revolved solely around her and Lily, he wouldn't have contemplated suicide after their betrayal. He truly regretted it. Amara frowned. There's no need for you to play these hard-to-get games. I promised you that after the surgery is complete, I would hold a belated wedding ceremony for you, and I won't go back on my word. But when she had confessed her feelings to Elias, she'd said she would be good to him for a lifetime. Hadn't she broken that promise too? Amara's phone rang, and she went outside to answer it. Only Ramon and Elias remained in the hospital room. Ramon said contemptuously, Amara said she'd hold a wedding for you and live a good life with you afterward? You didn't actually believe that, did you? She's just coaxing you so you'll willingly donate a kidney to me. Elias couldn't tell if Ramon's words were true or false. After all, Amara had always been cruel to him. Elias had no inclination to discern the truth either. He didn't want to see Ramon's smug, gloating face. Have you said enough? If you're done talking, get out. Elias, how dare you tell me to get out? You got some nerve. Ramon cursed angrily, struck his own head with a water cup, grabbed Elias's forearm, and threw himself to the floor. Amara, help. Little brother is trying to kill me. The needle on the back of Elias's hand was roughly ripped out. Blood spilled out, dripping onto the floor with soft splats. Amara rushed in. Seeing him like this, a flicker of worry crossed her eyes, but as soon as Ramon cried out, he captured all her attention. Amara, little brother said he regrets not being able to kill me on the deserted island. So just now, he tried to disfigure my face, saying that if I were scarred, you, parents, and Lily would all hate me. Ramon's eyes were red. Amara hugged him comfortingly, and when she looked at Elias, only resentment remained in her eyes. You are utterly unrepentant. For the new patent you've developed, the authorship credit will be changed to Ramon. Consider it your compensation. Elias was an employee of the Amara Corporation. The new patent was currently in his hands, and he had the capability to change the authorship credit. Elias had thought that no matter what she did, it would no longer rouse any emotion in him. But hearing these words, he was still on the verge of collapse. You can't do this. This new patent cost me 5 years of hard work. It's my lifeblood. You can't just steal it like this. He had already given everything to Ramon, even his life. Why did they have to steal even his patent? Ramon, readied, said, Anyway, this isn't the first time little brother has bullied me. He seems to care a lot about the patent, Amara. Maybe I shouldn't take it. Amara patted his hand gently. This is what he owes you. Amara's cruelty was soul-crushing. Not only did she let Ramon steal Elias's patent, but she also invited Elias to the corporate awards ceremony the next day. On the way there, Elias argued with Amara, even going so far as to kneel and beg her to return the patent, but she remained unmoved. He could only stand below the stage, watching Ramon steal his glory. Ramon delivered his acceptance speech with great emotion. To have my efforts recognized makes it all worthwhile. I hope my younger brother can also share my good fortune and become a useful member of society." The entire audience was praising Ramon. Mr. Ramon actually developed something so amazing. He possesses both talent and looks. No wonder Mr. and Mrs. Elias love him, their adopted son, more. He truly is outstanding. He's the one truly suited for CEO Amara. Elias bullied classmates in school, tormented his adopted brother, has a chaotic private life, and is completely inept. If he hadn't drugged CEO Amara, how could he become the Amara family's son-in-law? He went to great lengths to marry CEO Amara, but she clearly despises him. Their child is already quite old, yet they haven't even had a wedding. Whenever CEO Amara needs an escort for an event, she always asks Ramon. For everyone praising Ramon at the ceremony, there was someone disparaging Elias. Covered in chilblains, so thin he looked like a skeleton draped in skin, wearing an ill-fitting evening suit, he resembled the buffoon. Father Elias frowned deeply upon seeing him, not even offering a greeting, only smiling and pulling Ramon close, calling him a good son. Mother Elias flushed crimson with embarrassment. She rushed over, slapped the small cake out of Elias's hand, and snapped angrily. "Can't you just leave? Stop embarrassing us here. You've utterly disgraced my old face. If Mr. and Mrs. Elias find me embarrassing, you can disown me. I'm fine with that." Elias picked up another small cake, stuffing it into his mouth with vacant eyes. Daniel had said eating something sweet when sad would make one feel better, but he had eaten so much. Why did his heart still ache with such bitterness? Mother Elias's face, red with anger, snatched the cake from his hand, threw it on the floor, and this time stomped on it until it was ruined. "Eat, eat, eat. All you know is eating. You don't even call us mom and dad anymore. Do you really think we'd hesitate to disown you? What terrible luck for lifetimes to have given birth to a little beast like you." She stormed off indignantly. Elias watched her retreating back and murmured softly, "You're willing to let me die. What wouldn't you be willing to part with?" He called out to the system in his mind. Can the mission start early? He was scheduled for obliteration in 5 days, but he couldn't even bear these next 5 days. The system's voice remained as mechanical and emotionless as ever. The obliteration time for the strategy mission cannot be changed. Elias endured until the end of the award ceremony before Amara allowed him to leave. "Have you learned your lesson this time?" she asked. Elias was too exhausted. Sitting in the car, he didn't want to say a single word, merely nodding. He had learned his lesson long ago and had already decided to leave. Amara ruffled his hair, her voice unusually gentle. "If you had just been this obedient earlier, wouldn't things have been better?" Elias had no energy to deal with her, but this woman who had always detested him and hated him bringing up their past, now initiated the topic herself. "Elias, years ago, you shouldn't have drugged me. Even if my family disapproved, I was prepared to marry you. Even more so, you shouldn't have been so ruthless, repeatedly plotting against Ramon. He saved my life, doing that. Where did that leave me? But that's all in the past now. It's been 8 years. I don't want to keep fighting with you anymore. After you and Ramon finish the surgery, as long as you don't do anything to hurt Ramon again, I will hold a proper wedding ceremony with you, and we can live our lives well together from now on." In the past, hearing these words from her, Elias probably would have been moved to tears, but now he only found it all incredibly ironic. Elias said mockingly, "There's no from now on. After the surgery, I will die." Hearing this, Amara's expression instantly darkened. She slammed on the brakes. "The doctors have already examined you and confirmed you're fine. Yet here you are still talking nonsense about dying. Elias, do you really think I'll fall for your tricks again? Get out." Elias had no phone and no money and was only wearing a thin evening suit. Getting out of the car, he could only walk back to the hospital, cold and exhausted. He didn't want to endure this hardship, but Amara dragged him out. Her disgust for him was never concealed. Amara, Elias, unwilling to give up, chased the car for a few steps before stumbling and falling to the ground. The car didn't even stop. Utterly disheartened, Elias picked himself up, shivering from the cold and hugging himself tightly. He borrowed a phone from a passerby. His first call was to his good brother, Daniel. Daniel didn't answer. Hesitantly, he called his parents. The moment they recognized his voice, they hung up immediately, not even giving him a chance to speak. Amidst the curious and pitying glances of passers-by, Elias called Lily next. "Lily, it's Daddy. I'm across from the KFC on UU Road right now, and I don't have money for a taxi. Can you help me?" Lily was only, but relaying a message to the family driver or even getting a taxi to pick him up would definitely be no problem for her. But Lily resisted, saying, "I want to play with Uncle Ramon. I don't have time to find Bad Daddy, Elias. But if I stay out in the cold too long, I'll get sick, and it will be very uncomfortable." Lily giggled, full of anticipation. "Then will Bad Daddy get sick and die? If he dies, Uncle Ramon can be my daddy." Elias took a deep, trembling breath and hung up the phone himself. A child's innocence can sometimes be the most cutting. 5 more days before he could leave. It felt like such a long, long time. Elias gazed at the long road, having already decided to walk back when Daniel called him back. After getting the address, Daniel quickly arrived, looking travel-worn. Seeing Elias, Daniel's eyes reddened instantly. He took off his overcoat and draped it over Elias's shoulders. "Ah, Elias, I've been looking for you for a month. I couldn't find you anywhere. I was going crazy with worry. How did you get so thin? Standing out here dressed like this. Aren't you cold? What happened to the back of your hand? It looks like a piece of flesh was torn off, and there are so many needle marks. Were you sick? Getting an IV drip? How did you get so many chilblains? Does it hurt? Is it unbearable?" Towards the end, he was choked with sobs, unable to speak. Seeing him cry, Elias felt bad too. "Don't cry, Daniel, I'm fine. It's too cold. Can I go to your place for a while?" He didn't want to see Amara and the others right now. Wherever they were, he always felt despair and pain. "Okay." Daniel wiped away his tears, helped Elias into the car, and drove to his house. Elias held a hand warmer and drank several cups of hot water before he stopped shivering violently from the cold. He told Daniel everything that had happened over the past month. Daniel was furious, his face flushed red, breathing heavily. "Amara, that little bit. If she hadn't been so good to you before, swearing up and down that she would never be like your parents, favoring that pretty boy, I would never have watched you marry her. And that little brat, her health was poor. You took care of her hours a day, painstakingly nursing her back to health, and now she's just like her trashy mother, forcing you to donate a kidney, forcing you to die. Let my family go bankrupt if it has to. You're not allowed to donate your kidney to that pretty boy." "Ah, Elias, I can't watch you die," Elias said miserably. "Daniel, listen to me. I'm from another world. I only came to this world to complete a capture target mission to save my fiancée. The capture target mission failed. Whether I donate, is there another image I can try? I'm here to help you create all types of things, but can't make images like that." Dark red birthmark, her throat felt choked, as if stuffed with blood-soaked cotton, rendering her speechless. A cloying, metallic taste surged in her mouth. Clutching her chest, she sprayed a mouthful of blood onto Elias's body. Amara, Ramon, and Lily cried out in worry together. Daniel, however, stepped forward and shoved Amara violently away. "Elias already told you he donated a kidney to you, but you chose to believe that schemer Ramon and thought Elias was lying. You were the one who forced Elias to donate a kidney to Ramon. You killed him, and now you're here feigning deep affection." Amara fell to the ground, her forehead striking the ice coffin, leaving a large red welt, yet she barely registered the pain. She scrambled up, glaring at Ramon through gritted teeth. "Ramon, you claimed you were the one who donated a kidney to me back then. Then why is Elias the one left with only one kidney? Speak." When she had forced Elias to agree to the donation, he must have known he would die. When he died, did he hate her with all his being? The mere thought sent a pain so sharp through Amara's heart that she could barely breathe. Ramon flinched, stammering. "Daniel, I know you and little brother hate me, but do you hate me so much that even with him dead, you have to pin crime on me to frame me? Did little brother have you get rid of his other kidney?" When Mother Elias saw Elias's body, she had been completely stunned. Hearing Ramon's words now, she finally snapped back to reality. Shielding Ramon, she raged. Elias bullied Ramon when he was alive, and now even in death, he won't let him be. Ramon is kind-hearted. Does that mean he deserves to be bullied by you time and again, you? Daniel cut her off, unable to bear it any longer. "Shut up, you fool. You've favored Ramon for so many years, repeatedly suppressing your own son for his sake. Do you even know the person you're protecting is your husband's illegitimate son? He produced a paternity test report and threw it directly in Mother Elias's face. If you don't believe it, go get another test done yourself. Mother Elias stared at the report, her face drained of color. Illegitimate son? How can this be? Daniel sneered. His birth mother is the one Mr. Elias truly loved. Her name is Jane. You know her too. She was the one who personally removed Elias's first kidney to donate to Amara, then twisted the truth, claiming Ramon was the donor. She was also the one who lied, saying Elias met the conditions to donate a kidney to Ramon, removed Elias's second kidney, and killed him. Don't accuse Ramon and me of framing Ramon using death. We're not that despicable. Jane was arrested months ago for intentional homicide. You can ask at the police station. The wedding venue dissolved into chaos, buzzing with hushed conversations. My God, Elias's fate is too tragic. He donated a kidney to save CO Amara, only to be forced to his death by her hand. No wonder Elias regretted not finalizing the divorce before he died. He must have completely given up hope on Amara. Having a mother like Mrs. Elias was truly unfortunate, forcing her own biological son to his death for her husband's illegitimate child. Lin Yue is such an idiot. Elias must have been utterly heartbroken before he died. Hearing the murmurs pierced Amara's heart. The makeup wedding ceremony had become a complete farce. Amara dismissed all the guests, then called the police station to verify Daniel's claims. Jane did indeed falsify the patient's medical condition. Knowing the patient possessed only one kidney, she nevertheless proceeded with a kidney donation surgery. She confessed herself that it was to save her son, Ramon. When Amara hung up the phone, her hands were trembling. Elias had told her she could find another doctor, get another checkup, but she had assumed he was lying and had even mocked him for it. What on earth had she done? Ah, Elias, my son. It was all Mom's fault for blaming you. Ah, Elias. Elias's mother couldn't accept the truth. She wailed and fainted on the spot. Amara stared intently at Ramon, her gaze murderous. It was Elias who donated the kidney to me. Why did you say it was you? You knew he only had one kidney left. Why did you still force him to donate it to you? Were you deliberately trying to kill him? Ramon knelt on the floor, stammering. I had no choice. Amara bent down, grabbing his throat. Still lying. Ramon's voice choked with sobs. I'm not. Stop. My birth mother, Jane, took compromising photos of me being assaulted by a man. She forced me to steal the credit for my brother donating the kidney to you, making my brother donate the kidney, getting rid of him. That was her idea too. She hated my adoptive mother for taking her place as Mrs. Elias, so she wanted to kill my brother for revenge. She also said that with only me left as Dad's son, the family fortune would all be mine. I was afraid she would expose the fact that I'd been assaulted by a man, that I'd be too ashamed to face anyone. I couldn't help it. Because of this, I felt incredibly guilty. That's why when my brother bullied me repeatedly, even trying to push me off a cliff to kill me, I never called the police. Amara took a deep breath, released Ramon, and walked towards Elias with red-rimmed eyes. Her hand trembled as she reached out to touch his face, but before she could make contact, Daniel slapped her hand away. So Ramon bullied Elias like that, and you just let him off? He was flushed with anger. Ramon was bullied by Elias since childhood and threatened by his adoptive mother. He's a pitiful person too, Amara. I finally understand why Elias wanted to divorce you. Even in death, you are utterly unworthy of being his wife. Daniel gritted his teeth, threw down the divorce papers, and ordered people to wheel the ice coffin away. Amara rushed over, clutching the ice coffin. You can't take him away. He's my husband. But he was completely disheartened by you long ago. He entrusted the rights to his remains and final arrangements to me. Now that Jane has been arrested and the forensic examiner has collected the necessary evidence, it's time for me to handle his funeral. No, you can't take him away. Amara was consumed by regret. Regret that when Elias said donating another kidney would kill him, she hadn't believed him. Now that he was dead, she couldn't bear the thought of him leaving her in another form. Daniel looked at her coldly. Ms. Amara, if you obstruct me from taking Elias back any further, I will call the police. Finding the situation deeply embarrassing, the Amara family members stopped Amara. She was locked in her room, pounding heavily on the door. Let me out. I need to find Elias. Her mother spoke through the door. You didn't cherish him when he was alive. What's the point of all this now that he's dead? The Amara family can't afford this humiliation. Stay here for a few days, and I'll let you out when you've calmed down. But Amara couldn't stand it. She smashed the door with a chair, banged her head against it. Still no one opened it. She shattered a glass tumbler and cut her wrist by the door. If you don't let me out, I'll kill myself. Blood snaked across the floor, seeping out from under the door. Just as Amara's consciousness began to fade, her mother hurriedly called the family doctor to treat her wound. No longer daring to restrain her, she had someone check Daniel's whereabouts, learning he was at the crematorium. She drove there at top speed, nearly crashing several times, but she was still too late. When Amara arrived at the crematorium, Daniel had already left. She chased after him, finding he had already boarded a boat for a sea burial service and scattered the ashes into the ocean. Why couldn't you leave me even a single memento to remember him by? Amara's voice choked. Daniel merely replied coldly. Elias hated having anything to do with you. He looked at Elias's mother who had rushed over. And you both disgusted him. With that, he left the two women and departed. Elias's mother's legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the ground, covering her face and wailing uncontrollably. Elias, I'm sorry. Mom knows she was wrong. Mom didn't know you only had one kidney left, that donating again would kill you. Mom didn't know Ramon was your father's illegitimate son. Mom regrets it. Please come back. Amara watched her wail, finding it both pathetic and laughable. But how was she any different? She had foolishly thought that after the surgery she would hold a make-up wedding for him. As long as he forgave her, they could live happily ever after. But he would die after the surgery, just as he had said. They truly had no future. Amara numbly returned home, seeking some lingering trace of Elias. But the matching toothbrush holders, pajamas, and slippers he'd bought, the clothes and watches he'd chosen for her, his own clothes and watches, and their photo albums, he had gotten rid of them all. Amara had known when Elias was disposing of those things, but she had listened to Ramon, believing he was merely playing hard to get, and hadn't stopped him. I regret it, Elias. You drugging and scheming against me. You hurting Ramon. I don't care about any of that anymore. I just want to be with you. Amara drank herself into oblivion every day. Lily came to her in tears. Mama, why did Grandma scold me and call me an ungrateful brat? She's ignoring me now. Amara regarded her coldly. Because you are. Lily gazed at her timidly. Did Lily do something wrong? Everything was wrong. No child spends all day shouting for someone else to be their daddy, nor does any child constantly clamor for their own father to die. It's you little ungrateful brat, who deserves to die. But every time Lily said she wanted a new daddy or wished daddy would die, you were all laughing. Nobody ever told Lily it was wrong. Crash. Amara smashed the wine bottle onto the floor, glaring, her eyes practically splitting with rage. But nobody had to teach you to curse your own father like that. Mama, I want daddy. Lily wants to eat daddy's cooking, wants daddy to tuck her in at night. Lily misses daddy. Lily burst into frightened tears, snot and tears streaming down her face. Amara, however, merely watched her with cold indifference. Your daddy was cursed to death by you. No one will ever love you like he did again. Amidst Lily's wails, she tipped the bottle back and guzzled the wine. If she got drunk, the pain would stop. Elias, do you still hate me? Is that why you won't visit me in my dreams? I regret so much that right up until you died, we never had a proper wedding. Why, just because I hated you, did I delete all your photos? Elias, I miss you so much. Amara lived this way numbly for nearly half a year until one day, she happened to see Daniel buying a car with a handsome man, and Daniel called the man Elias. In that instant, an absurd thought sprang into Amara's mind. That was Elias. Amara knew how ridiculous this thought was, yet as if compelled by some unseen force, she followed them. The man clearly had an unfamiliar face, yet when he smiled, just like Elias, his eyes curved in a crescent, appearing utterly sincere. Eating hot pot, just like Elias, his favorite ingredient was brain flour. Typing on his phone one-handed, just like Elias, he preferred using his left hand. Amara grew increasingly agitated. When she saw Daniel about to part ways with the man, she could no longer contain her emotions and rushed forward. Elias, you're Elias, aren't you? The man jumped, startled by her outburst. Daniel furiously shoved her aside, stepping protectively in front of the man. Amara, have you lost your mind? Elias is dead. You saw his body yourself. Amara kept her eyes fixed intently on the man behind Daniel. But I heard him call him Elias. Daniel frowned. His name is Alejandro. What's the problem with me calling him Alex? You must be crazy. I'm warning you. He has a fiancée, and they're very happy together. Don't come here stirring up trouble. Almost as soon as the words were out of his mouth, a beautiful, alluring woman approached. Amara recognized her. Sarah, the head of the Sarah Corporation. Taking Alejandro's arm, she bid Daniel farewell, and they quickly got into a car and drove away. Elias hadn't expected to run into Amara again. No, he was Alejandro now. As Amara disappeared from view, Alejandro finally managed to push down the wave of negative emotions. His conquest mission had failed, and he'd thought he would be erased, but the system declared he had pursued his conquest diligently. It used all the points it had accumulated to redeem a new body for him in this world, and it even resurrected his fiancée in this world. Only she had lost her previous memories. She had a completely new identity and history in this world. You look so pale. Are you feeling unwell? Sarah asked, concerned. Alejandro snapped back to reality and shook his head. I'm fine. Just remembered a nightmare I had last night. It's all my fault. I worked late last night and wasn't here with you. You had a nightmare, and I didn't even know. Sarah had him rest his head on her lap, gently massaging his temples. Alejandro gazed into her gentle eyes, thanking the system for the countless time. When he found Sarah again, he was ecstatic. He had thought that with her amnesia he would face a long and arduous pursuit, yet the very first time he appeared before her, her affection level for him was already at percent. She added his contact information and proactively messaged him every day. She asked him out for meals, movies, and trips to the amusement park. She showered him with gifts and even brought him homemade food. Then, naturally, they became a couple. Alejandro got in touch with Daniel and even made a point of introducing his fiancée to him. Feeling better now? A pleasant female voice interrupted Alejandro's thoughts. He sat up. Yes, much better. You're so busy with work, you didn't need to come all this way for me. But seeing you always makes me happy. The fatigue from a long day's work just melts away. Alejandro smiled. Sarah, I'm truly so happy I can meet you again. She smiled, linking her arm through his. Me too. Oh, Mom and Dad want us to come over to the old family house for dinner tomorrow. They said they missed their son-in-law. Would you like to go? Yes, I miss them too. Alejandro was quite fond of his future parents-in-law. The next day, he went with Sarah to pick up the gifts. The orchid was a rare variety Father Sarah had coveted for a long time. Alejandro had practically begged and paid a premium to have someone cultivate it. The jewelry set was custom-made by a designer favored by Mother Sarah. The couple was always very kind to Alejandro, and their gifts to him were always thoughtful. Naturally, he wanted to reciprocate that thoughtfulness. Alejandro was buzzing with excitement throughout the gift pickup. Sarah had been excited too initially, but her enthusiasm seemed to wane later. Alex, don't you feel like I'm just kind of superfluous standing here? It's fine, I guess. Sarah looked even more dejected. Did you perhaps forget something? Seeing her expression, Alejandro couldn't help but chuckle. All right, I was just teasing you. You mentioned you were getting tired of your usual earring styles, so I picked out a couple of new pairs for you. Here. He produced a small gift box and handed it to her. Alejandro knew she didn't lack for jewelry at all. She simply cherished the feeling of being cared for by him. He in turn loved giving her gifts and seeing how much she treasured them. Sarah accepted the box, smiling even before opening it. I love it. Which reminds me, I wanted to give my darling a gift too. She casually pulled out a watch, took Alejandro's hand, and fastened it onto his wrist. Seeing her nonchalant manner, he assumed it was just a simple little gift. But when he got a proper look at the watch on his hand, studded with diamonds, he was dumbfounded. This must be worth tens of millions, right? I thought it suited you, so I bought it. Isn't this a bit too extravagant? Do you like it? Yes, I absolutely love it. Then it's not extravagant. Alejandro held out his hand, admiring the watch from every angle, beaming with delight all the way. Sarah, holding the two pairs of earrings, snapped photos from various angles, sending them out in group chats, posting them on Weibo, and her moment's feet. Only when they arrived at the Sarah family's ancestral home did the two of them let their wide smiles settle. Now there was another pair whose faces lit up. This orchid, Alex, you're truly thoughtful. Father Sarah beamed, the wrinkles around his eyes deepening. Mother Sarah cradled the necklace and earrings. Honestly, my son-in-law has impeccable taste. Alejandro and Sarah had arrived early, and dinner wasn't ready yet. Mother Sarah, feeling inspired, called Sarah over. Sarah, come lend me a hand. Let's have our son-in-law taste my cooking today. Alejandro felt awkward just sitting around and offered help too, but Father Sarah gently pushed him back down. Our family has plenty of cooks. We don't need our son-in-law in the kitchen. Come, let's pick out the suit you'll wear for the wedding. He pulled out a tablet. Son-in-law, here are a few options from the designer. See if anything catches your eye. If not, we'll have him draw up some more, or even find a different designer, no problem. Any of them are fine. Which one you think looks best? It's your wedding, not mine, you choose. You're Sarah's treasure, which makes you the treasure of the entire Sarah family. Do things exactly how you like. You don't need to please anyone. Alejandro had been through too much. The hardships he'd endured over the years had long since dried up his tears, yet ever since accepting the conquest mission, he often felt the urge to cry. When Father and Mother Sarah were kind to him, he wanted to cry. When Sarah comforted him gently, he wanted to cry. It had been such a long time since he had been loved by so many people. Alejandro chose the suit he liked best, enjoyed a lively, warm dinner with his 3 new family members, and stayed overnight at the ancestral home. He was curious about Sarah's past and wandered around the house, hearing that the first room on the left on the 2nd floor used to be hers. Alejandro approached it curiously. Just as his hand reached the doorknob, Sarah nervously stopped him. Alex, could we wait? Maybe not go in here just yet. She was always so gentle and accommodating. Whatever Alejandro wanted, she usually agreed. It was the first time he had ever seen her this anxious. All right, Alex, I'm not trying to hide anything from you, really. It's just, I'm not quite mentally prepared yet. Give me a little more time, and I promise I'll open this door for you myself. Sarah explained anxiously, her face flushing red. Alejandro found her earnestness endearing. He smiled, his eyes curving. Don't be so anxious. Everyone has secrets. It's perfectly normal. He had secrets too. The fact that he was truly Elias was something he might never be able to tell her. Sarah hugged him tightly. Just please don't hate me for it. I won't. How could he? It was because of her, his conquest target, that he had been given this second chance at life. To ensure she had enough time off for the wedding, Sarah had been working frantically lately. The next day, she had to go abroad for a business trip. Alejandro saw her off at the airport. Not wanting to head straight home, he lingered, only to run into Amara again. Just yesterday, she had been barefaced and plainly dressed. Today, however, she was meticulously made up, her hair styled, and dressed in the latest season's haute couture. Only the deep shadows beneath her eyes and the persistent redness, betraying lack of sleep, revealed the truth. She hadn't been faring well these past 6 months. Mr. Alejandro, is now a convenient time to talk? Alejandro merely spared her a fleeting glance. No, it isn't. He turned to leave. She rushed after him, reaching out to grab him, but the bodyguards were quicker. Alejandro looked at Amara, now held back by the bodyguards. I am Alejandro, not the Elias you're looking for. CEO Amara, if you continue to harass me, I won't be polite. But Mr. Alejandro, you look so much like him, and I've made inquiries. You were in a car accident, fell into a vegetative state, and only regained consciousness half a year ago. Besides, the Alejandro from before studied fine arts and never touched chip research. Since waking up, though, you've suddenly started researching chips. That was Elias's field. Amara stared at him, her gaze dark and obscure. Alejandro's expression remained impassive. So Elias, are you still holding a grudge against me? Pretending you don't know me? But I already regret it. Alejandro cut her off impatiently. CEO Amara, you were married to Elias for years and treated him like an enemy. To save your sweetheart, you forced your own husband to donate a kidney, ultimately causing his death. Now you come here feigning deep affection. Don't you find yourself utterly repulsive? You admit you're Elias, don't you? I was deceived by Jane back then. I didn't know donating the kidney would kill you. I never intended for you to die. Amara's eyes reddened, a tumultuous mix of agitation and guilt washing over her. Alejandro retorted with disgust. If someone ripped out your heart and then claimed they didn't know you'd perish without it, would you forgive them? I truly know I was wrong, and I regret it. Whether you regret it or not has nothing to do with me. You can go find your husband in hell and ask if he will forgive you. With that, Alejandro turned and walked away. He wasn't the least bit afraid of Amara recognizing him. In his current state, he would no longer fear her threats. The car started. Unwilling to give up, Amara chased after it, pounding on the window. The car accelerated too quickly. She couldn't keep pace, stumbling and collapsing onto the ground in a state of utter disarray. Alejandro watched this unfold in the rearview mirror, then averted his gaze, his heart completely unmoved. Meanwhile, Ramon was hiding nearby, overhearing their entire conversation with perfect clarity. When Alejandro returned home, his mother-in-law had sent him options for several luxury cars along with the wedding guest list. Son-in-law, take a look. Which one do you prefer for the wedding car? Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Ferrari, Aston Martin, or do you have something else in mind? Here's the guest list. Is there anyone you wish to add, or if there's anyone you find disagreeable, feel free to remove them. Finding the phone screen inconvenient, Alejandro opened his computer to review the guest list. Before he could finish, an unfamiliar number called. Elias, I admit I was wrong. But are you entirely blameless? If you hadn't drugged me, constantly bullied Ramon, and spun webs of lies, how could I have ever misunderstood you, ever distrusted you? Somehow Amara had obtained his phone number. Alejandro didn't let her finish, immediately blocking the number and activating the setting to reject calls from unknown numbers. From the very moment she had abandoned him on that desolate island to fend for himself, all his feelings for her had already withered away. He simply wished she would stay far, far away from his life and cease her disturbances. However, at a cocktail party 3 days later, Alejandro inevitably encountered her again. But it was Ramon who approached Alejandro first. Crash! The champagne tower toppled over, trapping Ramon beneath it. Soaked, disheveled, and marked with numerous small cuts, he stared up at Alejandro in disbelief. Mr. Alejandro, what have I possibly done to deserve this? Why are you treating me this way? Alejandro watched him play these petty tricks again and felt utterly exasperated. But before he could utter a word, Amara rushed over, crying, Ramon! She helped Ramon to his feet and turned furiously on Alejandro. I'm the one who wronged you. But Ramon has always been the victim. Why won't you let him go even now? It wasn't the first time Alejandro had been misunderstood like this by her. He had long ceased to care about her attitude. But then he saw Sarah approaching with father and mother Sarah. Panic seized his heart, and a cold sweat broke out on his palms. His current partner's family treated him very well, and he was terrified they would, like Amara and father and mother Elias before them, misunderstand and despise him because of Ramon. Alejandro clutched the hem of his jacket. Sarah? Uncle? Auntie? Don't be afraid. I'm here. Sarah shielded him behind her, her voice laced with sarcasm. Bullying the Sarah family's son-in-law at a Sarah family reception? You two are really something. Ramon remained silent, head lowered, eyes red, looking as though he had suffered a grievous injustice. Amara's face hardened. Miss Sarah, before you start blaming people, have you bothered to find out what actually happened? It was Elias. It was Alejandro who pushed over the champagne tower, sending it crashing down onto Ramon. Sarah didn't even bat an eyelid. I know my fiancé. He never bullies anyone. Seeing her unwavering trust, Alejandro breathed a sigh of relief. Amara, however, was seething. You know nothing, yet you blindly side with Alejandro. Hey, Miss Sarah, the surveillance footage has been retrieved. Should we display it now? Someone hurried over. Sarah gave a cold nod. The footage appeared on the large screen, clearly showing Ramon himself pulling down the champagne tower, orchestrating the entire incident. Amara stared dumbstruck, her face draining of color until it was deathly pale. She pushed Ramon away, aghast. You actually lied to me. Ramon stumbled and fell to the ground amidst the shattered glass, instantly covered in cuts. He scrambled, protesting frantically. You've misunderstood me. Mr. Alejandro and I have no grievance between us. Why would I deliberately frame him? I tripped over the champagne tower. I was so panicked that I thought Mr. Alejandro, being the closest, was trying to harm me. Alejandro had seen enough of his act. He stepped forward and struck him hard across the face. I ought to rip that truth-twisting mouth right off your face. Amara couldn't bear it. Alejandro. Ramon already said it was just a misunderstanding. Smack. Alejandro struck him again. You and Ramon want to treat me the way you treated Elias? You'll have to see if I let you. He had been pestered by her just days ago, and now she was reprimanding him without knowing right from wrong. Annoyance and hatred surged within him. They had always slung mud at him in the past, and now they were trying to bully him again. But this time he had the power to fight back. A fire burned in Alejandro's chest. He wanted not only to clear his own name today, but also to ensure his past self no longer bore those fabricated accusations. Ramon repeatedly framed Miss Amara's husband, Alejandro declared, his voice ringing out. Miss Amara and Elias's parents remained completely oblivious, instead blaming and suppressing Elias because of Ramon's lies. Elias was powerless to resist, and now this pair is trying the same tactics on me. Ramon claims today's incident with the Champagne Tower was a mistake, that he only implicated me out of panic. But what about all the things he did to Elias? How does he explain those? Alejandro signaled for the evidence he had only just obtained to be displayed on the screen. Photos, videos, and audio recordings filled the display. Evidence of Ramon bullying Elias, twisting facts, accompanied by interview clips from witnesses. Alejandro's expression was glacial. When they were young, Ramon led classmates to bully Elias, stripping his clothes, taking naked photos, and forbidding him from telling his family. Then Ramon turned around and told Mr. and Mrs. Elias that Elias was bullying him. Ramon dated several girlfriends. But when getting hotel rooms, he secretly used Elias's ID and wore Elias's clothes, later spreading rumors that Elias had a dissolute private life. About 9 years ago, Ramon planned to drug Amara, sleep with her, and then use reporters to force her into marriage. By a twist of fate, Elias ended up in that room instead. Consumed by jealousy and hatred, Ramon claimed Elias had sinister motives, that he would stop at nothing to marry a wealthy heiress. Half a year ago, Ramon found his birth mother, Jane, and threatened her into forging Elias's medical records. His plan was to get a kidney transplant to save himself, eliminate Elias in the process, and then marry Amara, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The list of Ramon's schemes against Elias was long, and much remained unproven. For instance, the incident on the deserted island where Ramon staged being pushed off a cliff. No concrete evidence could ever be found. But what had been revealed just now was more than enough to send shock waves through the entire crowd. So it turns out Ramon's previous good reputation was all built upon trampling on Elias. Just now, Amara even pointed fingers and cursed at Mr. Alejandro for Ramon's sake. Thankfully, Mr. Alejandro isn't Elias and has the ability to fight back. With a wife and parents like these, who can't tell right from wrong, Elias truly had it rough. Not only that, I heard Elias's daughter also yells all day for her own father to die. Elias couldn't even clear his name before he died. How pitiful. The crowd murmured amongst themselves. Amara watched the things displayed on screen, her expression flickering, finally settling into a deathly pallor. She opened her mouth but couldn't make a sound. Amidst the crowd, Mother Elias, after recovering from extreme shock, charged furiously towards Ramon. She grabbed his hair, her face streaked with tears and snot. You conscienceless bastard! Your mother interfered in my marriage, and you, an illegitimate son, bullied my son. How could I have hated my own son for a worthless piece of trash like you? Ramon was both shocked and scared. Mom, let go. It hurts. Mother Elias delivered several slaps across his face. Bastard. I don't have a son like you. You're hurting? When my son was wrongly accused and bullied by you, wasn't he hurting more than this? His kidney was taken. How much pain must he have been in? You butcher. You'll pay for my son's life. Ramon shoved Mother Elias away violently and tried to run, but someone tripped him. He fell face down onto the ground. Mother Elias seized the chance, sat on his back, and started pummeling him with fists and feet. He struggled to lift his head, pleading with Amara, but the woman who usually protected him seemed not to hear him at all. Ramon let out a sharp scream. Mother Elias had bitten into his neck. You bully my son, cause his death. He died in such agony. What right do you have to live so well? You should die. Go to the underworld and apologize to my son. Mother Elias's mouth was full of blood. A bloody gash was visible on Ramon's neck, and blood pooled on the ground. Someone pulled the two apart. Ramon was wailing as he was lifted onto a stretcher and taken away in an ambulance. Mother Elias, her mouth covered in blood, broke free from the bodyguard's hold and rushed up to Alejandro. Her eyes brimmed with tears, her face full of guilt and anticipation. Alex, are you Alex? It was all Mommy's fault before. Mommy should have believed you. Mommy loves you. Mommy carried you for months before giving birth to you. How could I possibly not love you? Don't hate Mommy anymore. Mommy regrets it so much. Mommy will treat you well from now on. We can still be the closest mother and son, okay? Tears streamed down Mother Elias's face, one drop after another. By the end, she could barely make a sound. She stretched out a withered hand, wanting to grasp Alejandro's, but any affection Alejandro might have had for his birth mother had been utterly worn away. He brushed her hand away without hesitation. You've mistaken me for someone else, Madame Elias. I am Alejandro. Your son Elias was already hounded to death by your own hands. Mother Elias's hand fell, her tear-filled eyes, which had been fixed tightly on him, dimmed in an instant. Yes, my son already. I caused his death. I'll never see him again. Mother Elias's eyes slowly lost focus, staring into the void as the corners of her lips and her eyes gradually curved upwards. Alex, don't cry. Mommy believes you. You're Mommy's best, most well-behaved baby. How could you possibly bully anyone? Someone in the crowd murmured. Did she help the illegitimate son harm her own child and then go mad after learning the truth? No one answered until Father Elias came to take Mother Elias away. Alejandro didn't spare her another glance. Amara's eyes were red, and she tried several times to approach him, but Sarah blocked her each time. CEO Amara, just now you were bullying my fiancé for your little lover. I haven't settled the score with you yet. What are you trying to do to him now? Haven't you bullied him enough? Amara said anxiously. Ramon isn't my lover. My relationship with him is completely innocent. I've never done anything to betray my husband. I'm looking for Mr. Alejandro just to sincerely apologize to him. Sarah didn't refuse outright, but looked towards Alejandro. He said with disgust, her apology? I don't need it. He just wanted Amara to stay far away from his life from now on. Sarah turned back to Amara. If CEO Amara isn't deaf, you should have heard that Alejandro's mood had been ruined by Amara and the others. As soon as the reception ended, he headed out. Are you okay? If you're upset, just cry it out. It's not embarrassing. Sarah held his hand, her voice exceptionally gentle. Before Alejandro could answer, Father Sarah said worriedly, Alex, if you don't want to talk to a young girl like her, finding it embarrassing, you can talk to me instead. Mother Sarah thought for a moment, then pulled out a card. Why don't you go spend some money, buy a car or something? Whenever I'm unhappy, I go shopping. Thank you, Sarah, and Uncle, Auntie, but I'm fine. The one who suffered those unbearable things was Elias. If anyone should be sad, it's him. Seeing how concerned they were, Alejandro felt that bit of unpleasantness vanish. In the 6 months since becoming Alejandro, he had been very happy. Amara left the reception in a daze. All along the way, people were discussing her. She's supposed to be a group CEO, played for a fool by Ramon's petty schemes, getting her own husband killed. How do you know Amara was tricked by Ramon? Maybe she fell for someone else and deliberately helped the mistress harm her husband. When Elias died, his name was dragged through the mud. It was so pitiful. If Mr. Alejandro hadn't been provoked by that despicable pair and revealed those things, who knows how long Elias would have been cursed. It's a pity Elias's death only led to the doctor's arrest and a shakeup at the Amara family hospital. Amara and Ramon faced no retribution at all. Amara wanted to explain. She had never intended to help Ramon bully Elias, nor had she believed Ramon's clumsy lies from the very beginning. It was Elias's parents. They had sided with Ramon, saying Elias drugged her, saying he bullied Ramon. She had assumed Elias's own parents wouldn't possibly favor an adopted son and slander their biological son. She had thought Elias must have gone too far, so much so that even his own parents couldn't bear to watch. Recalling every accusation she had hurled at Elias in the past, his look of disappointment and despair, Amara regretted it so bitterly, her insides twisted. She went to the hospital. Ramon lay in bed, the wound on his neck already bandaged. Father Elias was furiously accusing him. Alex was your brother, your own brother. How could you harm him like that? Xiong Jiandong, what right do you have to accuse me? My mother was your girlfriend, yet you hid it from her, married your wife through an alliance, turning her into a mistress and me into an illegitimate son. It was your whole family that wronged me. Ramon stared at him, his face twisted and ferocious. Amara clenched her fists, looking at him with disgust. So this is your true face. Seeing her, Ramon instantly switched to an innocent facade. Amara, I had no choice. Shut up. Amara slapped him hard across the face, murder flashing in her eyes. Ramon, for what you did to my husband, making his life a living hell, I will make you pay it all back. She turned her head to look at Father Elias. Sever your father-son relationship with him, or else I will stop at nothing to bring down the Elias family. Father Elias said suppressively. He did wrong, but he's the only son I have left. Amara retorted with disgust. I see. I was mistaken. Your father and son both bullied Elias. You both deserve a terrible end. She walked out and immediately called her special assistant. Cancel all cooperation with the Elias family. Special Assistant, CEO Amara, we granted the Elias family the license to use our patent for producing the new chip. If we breach the contract, we'll have to pay a hefty penalty. The board will definitely reprimand you, and the Elias family has invested almost all their funds into production. They'll have no choice but to declare bankruptcy. Are we really going to do something so mutually destructive? Amara didn't hesitate. Do it. I'll bear all the consequences. Also, arrange a press conference. When? Right now. The press conference was hastily convened. Amara faced the cameras and bowed deeply. First, I want to sincerely apologize to my husband Elias. I'm sorry. It was because I couldn't distinguish right from wrong, because I was blind in both eye and heart, that I helped outsiders bully him. Second, I want to publicly clarify something today. The research for the new chip was solely led by my husband Elias. It was the fruit of his 5 years of hard work. Ramon had no involvement whatsoever. I was deceived by Ramon, believing Elias had harmed him, and forcibly transferred the patent rights to Ramon's name. As soon as the press conference was held, the entire internet was in an uproar. Amara Corporation's market value plummeted, its stock crashed, and several major shareholders expressed dissatisfaction with Amara. Learning that she had even breached the contract just to retaliate against the Elias family, not only paying huge penalties, but also shelving all projects related to the new chip, causing enormous losses for the group, the shareholders were practically driven mad. They pressured Chairman Amara, her father, to convene a shareholders' meeting, where they immediately replaced Amara as CEO. Mother Amara cried until her eyes were swollen. Amara, are you trying to destroy yourself? Destroy our Amara family? If you truly loved Elias that much, why didn't you treat him well when he was alive? What's the use of doing all this now? Amara smiled bitterly. I also deeply regret not treating him well before. That's why she wanted to try her best to make amends, to let Elias see the sincerity of her repentance. Perhaps then she could still win a chance for them to reconcile. Alejandro saw Amara's public statement. The internet was full of condemnations against her and Ramon. Ramon never even entered the lab. How dare he claim Elias's credit and even tell Elias to learn from him? Truly, shamelessness knows no bounds. With a wife and boss like Amara, what bad karma did Elias accumulate? As in a university graduate, my original target was the Amara Corporation, but now I've accepted an offer from another major company. I'm afraid if I ever displease CEO Amara, she might snatch my work and give it to her lover. I'd be furious. Besides the discussions about Amara and Ramon, there was news of the Amara Corporation suffering massive losses and a new family facing bankruptcy. Alejandro merely glanced at it before continuing preparations for his wedding. What happened to those people no longer concerned him. However, on the way to the bridal studio with Daniel, he encountered Amara. Elias, let's talk. She was so thin, her cheeks were sunken, bearing no resemblance to her formerly arrogant and lively appearance. Alejandro looked at her coldly. Want to talk? Fine, you go die too, then you can talk to Elias underground. Daniel rolled his eyes dramatically. Still want to talk to Alex? What makes you think you deserve it? Alex, let's go, ignore her. He put his arm around Alejandro's shoulder, walking with him towards the bridal studio. But Amara didn't give up, chasing after them. She said urgently, Elias, you saw the news online, didn't you? I did that even at the cost of harming the Amara Corporation's interests, to avenge you, and to show you the determination of my repentance. Alejandro grew annoyed by her clamoring. Just then, a car pulled over and Sarah stepped out. Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip for at least half a month? How'd you get back so quickly? Seeing her, Alejandro's annoyance vanished, his eyes curving into crescents. Sarah took his hand, kissing the back of it. I came back to try on suits with you, and I'll try on wedding dresses too. I'll leave after we're done. I should choose our wedding attire carefully. But that will be tiring, it's not necessary. Many things aren't necessary, but if I want to do them, that's enough. Daniel grinned widely. Right. Alex's women should care about him this much. Miss Sarah, as my future sister-in-law, I'm quite satisfied with you so far. Keep up the good work. Sarah stood up straight and said earnestly, I certainly will. After she spoke, all three of them laughed and walked toward the bridal shop together. As they walked, Sarah took things out. I saw a really nice watch at a famous watch shop in England. Alex, this is for you. And this, a small trinket sold by an overseas student on the street. I thought you might like it. Daniel, this bank card is for you. After Alex finishes trying on his suits, I have to leave. I'll be quite busy before the wedding, so I'll trouble you to help him with the wedding arrangements. Consider this compensation for your trouble. Alejandro held the trinket and the watch. He already had many like them, but he was still very happy. She was always thinking of him. Thank you, Sarah. I love them. Alejandro wrapped his arm around Sarah and, unable to resist, leaned down and kissed her lips. He tried on his 5 custom-made suits and other formal outfits. Sarah also tried on many wedding dresses and gowns. Daniel was constantly taking pictures of them. This one's sharp. Maybe this one. I think this one's even sharper. Alex, why don't we have 3 weddings or extend the wedding over several days so you can wear all these outfits? Whatever Sarah suggested, Alejandro agreed. He had wanted to marry her for so long, but only achieved it in this lifetime. Sarah, thank you for coming into my life. I finally have the chance to marry you. Nearly 4 hours passed before they finished trying on the clothes. Alejandro walked Sarah out, only then realizing Amara was gone. He didn't know when she had left, but it didn't matter. After watching Sarah's car drive away, Alejandro happily went for hot pot with Daniel. He thought Amara had finally given up this time. However, when Alejandro woke up the next day, he found Amara standing outside the villa with Lily. He frowned in annoyance and told the bodyguards to send him away, but the mother and daughter struggled constantly, shouting, Amara, are you abandoning me and abandoning our child too? Daddy, I miss you. The housekeeper complained to Alejandro. Are this mother and daughter crazy? They regret causing Elias's death, so why are they acting crazy here? No one would think along the lines of possessing another's body. They would just assume the mother and daughter had mental problems. Alejandro didn't want to deal with them at all, but he hated their relentless haunting even more. He opened the door, walked out, had the bodyguards retreat meters away, and looked coldly at the mother and daughter. Amara had deliberately tidied herself up, but the air of despondency couldn't be hidden. Lily, who used to be plump, fair-skinned, arrogant, and domineering, was now thin and small, looking somewhat gloomy. Seeing Alejandro come out, Amara was overjoyed. I knew it. No matter how much you hate me, you wouldn't abandon our daughter. You painstakingly raised her, cherished her in the palm of your hand. You couldn't bear to part with her. Lily also rushed over crying, hugging Alejandro's leg. Daddy, Lily misses you so much. Lily doesn't want a new daddy. Come home with Lily. Alejandro pried her hands off without mercy. Your father is already dead. Weren't you always hoping your father would die so Ramon could be your dad? Now you have your wish. Uncle Ramon is bad. He hits Lily and scolds Lily. Lily doesn't want him as a daddy anymore. Daddy, Lily knows she was wrong. Lily will be an obedient, sensible, and filial child in the future. Please come home with Lily. Lily cried until she could barely breathe. Alejandro just looked at her faintly. You can become obedient, sensible, and filial, and perhaps many people will like you in the future, but your father was hurt too badly by you. He can no longer forgive you. He had given this daughter too many chances. He knew she was young, easily deceived, incited, and misled. She was pitiful, but his past self was also pitiful. He couldn't possibly forgive her. Unwilling to give up, Lily tried to hug him again and again, crying and calling Daddy, only to be pushed away each time. The last time she fell, sitting on the ground, no longer having the courage to call Daddy, she just looked at Alejandro, crying her heart out. Amara walked over, picked her up, and said to Alejandro with difficulty, "Elias, I know I was terribly wrong before, but I truly regret it. I'm willing to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I beg you, give me one chance." With a thud, she knelt on the ground. Alejandro had never seen her so subservient to anyone, but looking down at her, he felt no sympathy, only hatred. "Amara, you always say you're willing to make amends. Have you ever experienced being repeatedly pointed at and cursed as cheap and vicious by the person you love most? Watching her protect the bully who torments you? You still have my kidney inside you. Do you know what it feels like each time your body is cut open to remove a kidney? Do you know what it feels like to be thrown onto a deserted island, suffering from hunger and cold, so cold you lose body heat, so hungry you eat insects and grass roots? Before you ask me to forgive you, why don't you go experience these things first and see if you can still say forgive to the person who tormented you so endlessly? If you have even the slightest shred of shame towards me, stop harassing me. Just looking at you makes me sick." After speaking, Alejandro turned and went back inside without a backward glance at the mother and daughter. Afterwards, they didn't come looking for him again. Only a month later, he received a message from Amara, "I'm sorry. I have no right to ask for your forgiveness." Shortly after, a message arrived. Alejandro heard that Amara had gone to a deserted island by herself, stayed for half a month, and was rushed to emergency rescue. The Elias family went bankrupt. Father Elias couldn't accept it, suffered a stroke due to high blood pressure, became paralyzed on one side, and would spend the rest of his life bedridden. Without the support of the Elias family and Amara, Ramon still tried to live his former extravagant life. He invested confidently, but lost all his money. Coincidentally, the anti-rejection medication Ramon took after his kidney transplant had been tampered with. The rejection reaction was too severe, landing him in the hospital. To survive, he needed a new kidney or conservative treatment, but he couldn't even afford the medical bills. If he couldn't raise the money in the next 6 months, he could only wait to die. Alejandro paid little attention to their news. He was about to marry the woman he loved. At the wedding, Amara stood, holding in 4 drip, crying continuously. She drank until she got alcohol poisoning and was sent to the hospital. 6 months after the wedding, Sarah took Alejandro to her old room. "It's time to tell you my secret." That room was covered with photos of Elias and Alejandro. "Alex, I'll never forget when I was kidnapped and left to die in a cave. It was you who saved me. I asked you then, how could you be so brave? You said your father didn't care, your mother didn't love you, nobody cared about you. Just a worthless life, gone if it's gone. But to me, you were a hero who came to save me on colorful clouds. The person I care about most in this life, my biggest regret was finding you too late. By then you had already fallen in love with Amara. I used to hide and watch you. My heart was conflicted. I both hoped Amara would treat you poorly so I could justifiably steal you away, and feared she would treat you poorly, causing you heartache. I secretly followed you both for 2 years. Amara treated you well, and you loved her very much. I was afraid I'd do something uncontrollable, so I chose to leave. That was also my biggest regret. I didn't know what would happen to you later, that you would be murdered. Luckily a system found me, said I could do a redemption mission, redemption target Elias." Alejandro listened in shock, finally with red eyes, hugged Sarah tightly. Thank goodness he had successfully saved her in this life. Only after arriving on the deserted island did Amara realize how cruel her punishment of Elias had truly been. In the depths of winter, this barren island offered nothing but rocks and withered grass. For the first time, she learned the taste of bizarrely shaped insects, rank, astringent, sticky, nauseating. But after a week, she couldn't even find insects anymore. Only endless stretches of desolate grass remained. The roots were dry and bitter. Every swallow felt like countless dull knives slicing her throat, filling her mouth with a taste of blood. Amara had nothing to eat or drink. She shivered uncontrollably from the cold, Her cracked lips agonized with the slightest movement, and her body was covered in painful chilblains. Many times she took out the satellite phone, wanted to call for help, but forced herself to resist. I must endure for a month, experience all the suffering Elias went through. Only then will I be worthy of seeking his forgiveness. If he could do it, I definitely can too. I will show him my sincerity and determination. Amara endured and endured. Each day on the island was a living hell, sustained only by sheer willpower. But no matter how she tried to bolster her spirits, after half a month, she could hold on no longer. The torment of constantly standing on the precipice of death was unimaginable for an ordinary person, impossible to withstand through conviction alone. Amara called the medical team with reddened eyes. She typed out several thousand words, intending to send them to Elias, but in the end she deleted everything, leaving only a single start phrase: "I'm sorry." No matter how many excuses she manufactured, no matter what else she did, nothing could alter the fact that she had hurt Elias. Amara was rushed into emergency care. She remained unconscious for 2 days. Her first words upon waking were a question: "Elias? Has Alejandro come?" "No, he's at his wedding." Clutching her 4-drip stand, Amara hurried to the wedding venue. She watched Alejandro, clad in a sharp suit, kneel before Sarah and place the ring upon her finger. In that instant, Amara plunged into utter despair. She knew she had lost her chance forever. She couldn't fathom her past self, why she loved Elias so fiercely, married him, only to wound him so wantonly. Amara drank until she suffered acute alcohol poisoning and was admitted to the ICU. Drifting in and out of consciousness, she thought she heard Elias weeping. "Amara, please wake up. Just wake up, and I'll forgive you." Her eyes flew open abruptly, but the man she yearned for wasn't there. The ICU held only patients and nurses. She stared blankly at the ceiling, tears streaming down her face. Elias was already dead. The one still living was only Alejandro. Lily's epilogue. Before she turned, Lily was the cherished treasure of her family. Both her father and mother loved her more than anything. After she turned, her father died, and her mother hated him. One day, her mother took her to meet an uncle named Alejandro and told her to call him Dad. But her mother seemed to dislike him intensely. His cold demeanor, he clearly wasn't Dad. Dad would never look at her that way. Later, her mother confirmed it too. Her father was dead. They had mistaken the man for many years thereafter. Her mother spent her days clutching a liquor bottle, doing nothing at all. Her maternal grandparents' hair turned white prematurely. Their attempts to reason with her mother proved futile, and eventually they directed all their blame onto Lily. "It's all because she met your dad that your mom's life is ruined," they'd say. Lily couldn't understand how her once loving grandparents had suddenly become like enemies. Her father, her Uncle Ramon, everyone seemed to have abandoned her. She grew timid and perpetually anxious, because no matter what she did, it ended in scolding. Lily missed her daddy terribly, but she knew he would never come back, and in the entire world, no one would ever love her the way he had again.